Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. We're here July 6th, as you guys all know, with Sister Reem Abdelrazek, the principal of Annoor Academy in Knoxville, Tennessee. We were all blown away with her amazing messaging, the video that she shared with us on both the IECN and the CISNA leaders WhatsApp group, and was subsequently shared on Facebook. Really positive reception because it was just so wonderfully articulated, the complexity of the details that administrators are looking at as they decide how to open up in the fall. Without taking too much more time, we'd like to pass the ball over to Sister Reem on a brief presentation about communicating about these difficult decisions during COVID-19.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Shaz. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you all and a pleasure to be learning with everybody. It's been really exciting to connect with everybody. So a big thanks to both CISNA and ISLA for connecting everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen. I will do my best to be as brief as possible and then take any questions that I can't answer. Our tech guy is not with us today. He's took a break and he's backpacking somewhere completely disconnected in Wyoming. So I will do my best to answer that. But what I did want to do is just share some of the components about messaging. And a lot of this is stuff that you all have probably heard before and are aware of, but they're good reminders. And then I actually have, there's a link that I've shared to this presentation, and it actually has the script. It was the basis for the script that we used for our presentation. So that's our kiddos there trying to do the logo, our son logo. It didn't quite come together, but we tried. So that's, mashallah, we have about 180 students. So that's what we were working on.
Sister Reem, do you, are you gonna play the video? Probably not. I was thinking about that.
I wasn't going to, only because sometimes when you play audio over Zoom, it's weird. But if you want to pull it up, you are welcome to. And if you want to do that now, you can.
Okay, yeah, I was
before
thinking
I get started.
Maybe that would give us all a common place to start with.
Sure, I will stop share and then let you do that from a technical perspective.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Reem. Sorry I didn't.
No, I wondered about it, but then I was like, it's okay.
And I thought about it too, and then just dropped.
And you can do part of it, not all of it.
Okay, sure. Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna screen share my Facebook page. It's kind of scary right there. Screen share. Let's find it. Ah, there it is. Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Sorry, I think that it's not playing yet.
For our students to learn.
Can you guys hear it?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Principal Reem Abdelrazek.
Yes, we hear.
Our plans for the new school year, keeping our children learning. Bismillah. We're all adapting to a changing world, so our school team has been working hard to keep on teaching and inshallah make our children successful. We have been exploring new ways for our students to learn in our changing world, plus researching and implementing the best ways of keeping our children safe. And there are ways you can help too. First, let's look at new ways to learn. We are looking at school in phases in response to government guidelines and health statistics, which are subject to change. First, normal school. If we can safely have school as we have always done, we will, but given the current pandemic, we have two alternate plans in place. The hybrid model allows for both on-campus and off-campus learning. For the parents who feel comfortable sending their children to school with strict safety guidelines in place, students would be separated into a morning or afternoon shift Monday through Thursday with a daily schedule, plus a school-at-home day on Friday. For the parents who do not feel comfortable sending their children to school, students would have an at-home program Monday through Thursday with an opportunity to meet with their teachers as needed one-on-one every Friday. If, God forbid, the health situation requires that campus be completely shut down, we would move to remote off-campus learning for all students. So, how are we keeping your children safe? We've been researching and implementing CDC guidelines, as well as working with medical professionals to follow best practices and update to a strict illness policy with expanded cleaning on campus during the day. We have safety measures in place for classrooms, students, and adults. In the classroom, we are requiring more space between fewer students with regular hand washing scheduled and classroom cleanup times. For adults, we will screen our staff daily. Staff will be in protective gear and no parents will be allowed into the building to reduce exposure to our staff and students. Finally, we will continue training for both staff and families around best practices for health and hygiene, as well as schooling from home. For students, we will have screenings daily before exiting their car with specific drop-off times and zones for families to reduce congestion and exposure. Students will go straight to their classroom to avoid congregations. They will be required to wear protective gear after a certain age, and we will have regular hand washing and best hygiene practices implemented throughout the day. So, how can you help? First, please pray for the safety of our community, our country, and our world, and the success of our school year. Second, as we continue to fine-tune our plans, we welcome your feedback toward creating the best and safest learning environment for our students. As mentioned, we plan to roll out school in phases based on government and health guidelines to keep this as flexible and functional for our staff and families as possible. We hope to host a pilot for a select grade of students in late July to ensure the logistics of our hybrid model. Phases 2 and 3 are in 8-week increments and will be adjusted as needed to meet the needs of our students in a safe way. If you have any questions about admissions, please reach out and let us know. We will also be contacting parents to confirm preferences regarding the hybrid model. Just as an update, we've maintained the same tuition rate as last year. We understand how challenging these times are. We know the world will keep on changing, but we promise to keep our children learning, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
All right. Sister Reem, I know you said I didn't have to play the whole thing, but I think that it's just so comprehensive and articulately, like it's just, so I hope that that was a benefit for everybody, even for me watching it again was just awesome.
Alhamdulillah. Well, alhamdulillah, it was really just the slides that are coming up were the script-ish, where our graphic designer was able to kind of put that together, and then I was able to add the voiceover. And so I'm just going to briefly, and try to keep my eye on the time, try to go through some stuff, just talk about, you know, who you're making this message for, what do they need to hear, how should they hear it, when should they hear it. So who, staff, parents, students, and community, that's kind of the way that we put that together so that it was digestible by all of those folks. And then there are different ways you can communicate more serious or more important information, as it were, but we felt like that video was able to get all of those people. For sure, you want to talk, one of the first mistakes I made early on was I would tell stuff to parents that we had kind of talked to staff about, and then the staff was like, well, I heard about it from a parent email. So just make sure that you are chatting with your staff. I'm sure everybody knows that, but chatting with your staff in advance of releasing any kind of information. But when you are creating this, make sure that you are thinking about, for us, we really needed to reach the parent. That was our user for whom we were designing our message. When you're thinking about the design process, we were absolutely thinking about the parent. So keep that in mind. You might want to have a student version, and we might actually do that as we prepare our kiddos to come back, if they come back, inshallah, in building. But just think about that. But our primary user here was the parent. But we did do it so that it would be child friendly. And there's actually a lot of schools from you guys as well. And then even our local news is asking to do a piece on it because they saw the video and felt like it really helped explain what was going on. So that'll be coming up as well, inshallah. So just making sure it's digestible for everybody is really important. In terms of the what, you're looking at the messaging, and then specifically we looked at our educational models, the safety measures we're taking, and the what now. So these are very, very, forgive me for just, these are very basic things. I'm sure that you all know them, but just good to be reminded, making sure that when we communicate with people that we're using we and not I, because we are a team of folks that are doing these things. So it's really important that we make sure that we keep everybody included. So we versus I, we definitely used words like phased and flexible and subject to change, because everything really is subject to change. Like, I don't think anybody has the right answer. So we wanted to make sure that we threw those words in quite often, but not to the point where you undermine your plan, but that people understand that it could change. And that's why we really like the idea of phases, because then you can tweak things as needed. Of course, you want to use a friendly voice or face. You know, we even thought about using some students for some upcoming videos as well. So you want to make sure that if you are doing a voiceover or something like that, that, you know, it's a friendly voice. Think about it as a story somewhat, as opposed to telling them this is what we're going to do and this is what we're going to do. But instead, you know, the way we did that is we had some soft graphics, limited words on the screen, and it was more of the voice telling kind of sharing what was going to happen. And of course, relaying confidence to parents with all that's going on. And as you all saw in the spring, when everybody kind of crisis mode switched to online, they're just like we don't really have all the answers, and we're all doing our best to get it done. They're still looking to us for confidence, and to feel like we know what we're gonna, you know, we know what we're gonna do with our students and our children. Inshallah, we do. But make sure that you're able to kind of relay that we're confident in our ability to, you know, meet our learning goals. We are committed to delivering the best experience for our students and ensuring a great learning environment, et cetera, et cetera. So make sure that that language is in there as well, because that does help build confidence. In as private schools where choice matters, you really want to make sure that parents feel comfortable coming to you. We're real big on use of pictures and graphics and less words, because people's attention spans are much shorter these days. However, we still have really, like I just sent a parent email that had tons of text in it, because at some point they need to hear and see these things. But we're going to repeat it even with more, you know, with a voiceover again, just to make it easier. And this is something that Sister Russia said earlier about classes, but it's also the same for us as well, is to just keep it simple. Oh, streamlining fonts and colors. Not everybody can get a graphic designer, and we get that. Not everybody has a branding package, and we get that. But you can, you know, between Google Slides or Prezi and all this stuff, you can put something great together, but just keep it simple, both in what you're presenting and in your fonts and colors. That's something our branding standards were really big on, to make sure that things look good and clean. And that also communicates a level of professionalism and confidence in what you're doing. So this is actually what you're about to see, and I'll just run through it quickly because it's going to be different for different people. This is actually the basis of how we developed our slides. Was we decided we wanted to present which models we're going to be doing. And so we have kind of three. We have our main, you know, normal school, and then our hybrid and completely remote. And so we wanted to make sure that we were able to kind of describe those. And then again, we mentioned the phases and making sure that we used words like phased and flexible. Of course, you have your status quo, which is everything is normal. May God make it easy for that to happen, inshallah, and allow us to learn from this experience. But then also our contingency plans of the hybrid model, which would be some students on campus and some off, and then completely remote learning. And so this is what Annoor Academy is doing. You would, you know, personalize this for whatever learning models you all are using. So we just kind of went through the basic points of that, about what on campus is going to look like, what off campus is going to look like. And we kept it simple. So we've had parents, as we're kind of confirming what parents want to do, they're like, well, tell us what the full day what the on campus looks like versus what off campus looks like. So we have that in writing, but we might be putting something together again soon to release that kind of goes a little bit more in depth. Of course, there's the hesitation because, you know, things are still being planned, but sharing that information out. Then we just had a very simple, and if we have to go online, we've got to go online. And that was, you know, the frame where you see, you know, the woman in hijab inside the computer screen. And that was really fun and nice to be able to use Muslims in that as well, in terms of representing who we are. We went through our safety measures, and of course, whatever specific things you all are doing on your campus, it would be really important to include those. and we talked about it from different components. So we had like a general one, then we had what we're doing specifically for adults, specifically for students, and things that we're doing in the classroom. So just like you would normally, you know, chunk your content for online learning, and you even chunk your content for your regular teaching, that's kind of what we try to do, is to put it, index it and put it under very specific categories so that it was easy to understand and easy to digest. That's what we talked about students. And then another big part was kind of like, everyone's like, okay, so what do we do now? So we wanted to just share with them where we're at, where we're going, what we're doing. So, you know, we had an original, and I'm sure tons of y'all have done this. We had a kind of like a what's your comfort level survey, but now we have a formal confirmation of like, yes, this is what I want to do, AM versus PM sign up and things like that. We shared information about our staff getting their professional development, the planning and protocols that we're developing and things that we're doing on campus. So that lets them know that, you know, we're working really, really hard to make sure that they know how hard we're working, but also to get things ready as well. And we need to hear from them. Of course, with the numbers going up the way they are right now, a lot of people are where they felt comfortable, they don't feel as comfortable now. So we're kind of working around that. We kept our tuition the same. I know there was a conversation, I think, on the WhatsApp thread about tuition increases. We kept ours the same. And we're still getting requests for reductions, but so that's something that we shared briefly in there. The way to share this, of course, what we used to create that was Apple Keynote. So if you have folks that can use that and they're proficient, Adobe Spark is an option. To be honest with you, if you use PowerPoint or Google Slides and you just have that voiceover, so it's less reading and maybe some more comfort, like, you know, this kind of conversational tone of talking through it, that is really helpful. And there's you can do a screencast, you can record it in Zoom, and your picture will be in the corner. And we shared it on our website. We have it on our social media. We have lots of parent groups on WhatsApp. So we spread it out that way. Email's kind of obsolete, but there are some people that still use it. So we shared it over email. And the good thing is we use Constant Contact. So it will generate a URL of the email. So we texted that link to all our parents. So there's some text and then the video. So that's kind of how we shared it. When, of course, early and often, just like the sooner you can you know, share stuff with parents, the better. But of course, there's the whole, you know, is it going to change? Is it not going to change? And we did have that level of redundancy where we shared it via email, we shared it via text, we shared it via social media, because there are people that will see this, but they won't see that. So we just wanted to make sure that it was kind of saturated the market. And then in terms of follow-up, so we had a lot of questions that, you know, there was, like Sheza mentioned, there was really great feedback. Just as it was with you guys, there was great feedback from our parents as well, and they felt really comfortable with it. But then the questions have started to come. So just being prepared for that follow-up, having those answers ready, and having the materials that maybe you can share with parents as a follow-up. And then just kind of sharing timelines. You know, there's a lot of questions, and a lot of you all start a little bit later, but our first day is supposedly, inshallah, August 10th. So, you know, we're coming back sooner. So we've got quite a bit that we've got to get done in the next month, inshallah. But sharing that with parents as well has been really important. And that is it. May Allah give us success and tawfiq, inshallah. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that or share any thoughts that you all have in response to any of that.
All right, Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, Sister Reem. Very, very informative. I know that you were afraid that it was a little too simple, but I think that we're all coming at this with different skill sets, and our heads and our minds and our hearts are consumed with so many different things that the simplicity is also, those simple reminders are also very, very useful and needed for all of us, I think. I'm going to stop the recording, but allow for questions at this point, inshallah.